Nora had always believed that life became predictable once you reached your 40s. Bills, routines, familiar arguments, familiar comforts, everything seemed set in stone. Until the night she saw her 15-year-old daughter, Emily, sitting at the dining table with her father's phone in her shaking hands. "Mom, you need to see this," Emily whispered, her eyes filled with a painful knowledge no teenager should carry. Nora's heart clenched. She walked closer, and the screen lit up again with a new message. "Serena, I miss you already. Tonight was perfect." Face blowing a kiss. The words blurred and sharpened again in Nora's vision. She felt something cold inside her chest, like ice forming around her ribs. And then, another ping. "Serena, don't forget the plan. She won't see it coming." Emily covered her mouth, horrified. "Mom. Dad isn't really going on that business trip, is he?" Nora couldn't answer. Because deep down, she had known something was wrong. Adrian had been distant, distracted, irritable over petty things. He stayed longer at work, guarded his phone like a precious artifact, and dismissed Nora's every question as insecurity. But this proof hit her like a blow. "Go upstairs, sweetheart," Nora said gently, placing a trembling hand on her daughter's cheek. "Please. Let me handle this." Emily hesitated, then ran upstairs, tears slipping down her face. Nora stared at the phone. Another message arrived. "Serena, tomorrow. During the ceremony. It'll be dramatic." Nora's legs nearly buckled. He was going to leave her. At their daughter's school ceremony. Publicly. Cruelly. With a woman half his age who had rehearsed this betrayal with him. She couldn't breathe. The front door opened. Adrian walked in with the casual carelessness of someone who had no idea the ground beneath him was about to collapse. "Hey," he said, tossing his keys onto the counter. "Why does it smell like onions in here?" "Did you?" He froze when he saw his phone in Nora's hand. His face drained of color. "Nora, what are you doing with my—" "I know," she said quietly. Silence. A terrifying, suffocating silence. Adrian opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, like a man drowning and reaching for air he didn't deserve. "Nora, listen, this isn't what you think." She turned the screen toward him. Serena's messages glowed like knives. Adrian went completely still. And Nora felt something she hadn't expected. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Not desperation. Just clarity. Pure, sharp, unshakable clarity. Her life wasn't ending. It was shifting. "Sit down," she said calmly. "We need to talk." But what Adrian didn't know was that talking was only the beginning. Adrian stood frozen, shoulders stiff, eyes darting toward the stairs as if checking whether Emily had heard what was happening. The guilt in his posture was unmistakable. For years, Nora had ignored those small signs, late nights, hidden receipts, the faint trace of unfamiliar perfume, but tonight, everything lined up like a puzzle she could finally see. "Nora, please," he muttered as he slowly sat down. "This is all just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Nora raised an eyebrow, her voice eerily calm. "You're going to have to explain how months of messages and photos are a misunderstanding." Adrian swallowed hard. She's just a coworker. She's been going through things. I was helping her." Nora set the phone on the table and slid it toward him. "Then help yourself by reading what you wrote." His eyes flicked to the screen, then away just as quickly. He didn't need to read it. He knew. "Look," he tried again, "I know how this looks, but I swear, it wasn't serious. It just happened." Nora almost laughed. "You don't fall into someone's arms for months and call it a mistake, Adrian. And you don't plan to leave your wife in public if it's not serious." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Who told you that?" "Your girlfriend," Nora replied coldly. Serena has a very creative imagination. She even planned the timing for you. His face twisted into panic. Nora, I wasn't going to actually do it. She gets carried away. So do you, Nora said. Just in worse ways. Adrian raked both hands through his hair. You don't understand, I've been under so much stress, our marriage hasn't been good. You don't get to blame this on our marriage. Her voice sliced through the room like glass. Adrian looked down. Nora sat across from him, strangely calm. Inside, she felt everything and nothing all at once, a mix of betrayal, exhaustion, and something new creeping in, resolve. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She didn't plead. She simply observed the man she'd once trusted with her life, now shrinking under the weight of his own choices. What are you going to do? Adrian asked quietly, fear beginning to seep into his tone. Nora leaned back, folding her arms. I don't know yet. But I will handle this on my terms. Adrian flinched. He was used to Nora forgiving, smoothing things over, compromising. He wasn't prepared for this version of her, steady, clear-minded, and unflinching. Suddenly, footsteps sounded softly from the staircase. Emily stood halfway down, her face pale. Mom, what's happening? Nora's heart tightened, but she kept her voice soft. Go back to your room, sweetheart. We're talking. Adrian looked at his daughter with shame written all over him. Emily. But she turned away, refusing to meet his eyes, and walked back upstairs. A silence fell again. Nora stood up. This conversation is over for tonight, she said. Tomorrow, we'll talk about what comes next. Adrian looked terrified. Nora, please don't do anything drastic. She stared at him, her expression unreadable. We'll see. Because she already had a plan forming. And Adrian wouldn't see it coming. Nora barely slept that night. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the heater, replaying every sign she had ignored. Every late meeting. Every cancelled family plan. Every time Adrian had accused her of being distant just to mask his own guilt. By morning, something inside her had shifted. She wasn't broken. She wasn't helpless. She was awake. When she walked downstairs, she found Adrian sitting at the kitchen table, hair messy, eyes red-rimmed from a sleepless night. He looked up like a man awaiting a sentence. Nora, can we talk? Not right now, she said firmly. I have things to do. She grabbed her laptop, a notebook, and her keys. Adrian followed her into the hallway. Where are you going? You can't just ignore this. I'm not ignoring anything, Nora replied, slipping on her coat. But I'm not rushing into emotional decisions today. You've had months to think about your choices. I've had one night. Her voice remained calm, but this calmness rattled Adrian more than shouting ever could. Nora, please, he begged, reaching for her arm, don't do anything drastic. Drastic. She looked at him with a hollow sort of amusement. Funny. That word seems to apply more to your behavior than mine. She left him standing there, stunned and terrified. Nora drove straight to a quiet cafe across town, the kind of place where no one knew her name. She ordered tea, sat by the window, and opened her laptop. She had saved screenshots from the night before, carefully organized into a folder titled For Later. Then she moved on to what really mattered. Planning. Her marriage could fall apart, but her life wouldn't. She would not let Adrian's betrayal define her next chapter. She researched lawyers, therapists for Emily, financial advisors, property separation laws, quietly building a roadmap that Adrian would never see coming. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. 20 missed calls. 14 texts. Most from Adrian. Some from an unknown number, Serena. She ignored them all. Instead, Nora sent one message to a divorce attorney she had heard about through a former colleague. A woman known for being calm, sharp, and devastatingly effective. I need an appointment. As soon as possible. Within minutes, she received a reply. Today at 4 p.m. works. Come prepared. Nora felt something she hadn't felt in months, maybe years. Control. When she returned home, Adrian was pacing in the living room. Nora. You can't shut me out like this. She looked at him with a kind of quiet strength he didn't recognize. I'm not shutting you out. I'm giving myself the space you never gave me. He winced. Is this about the messages? He asked weakly. It's about everything, she corrected. It's about the lies. The secrecy. The planning behind my back. But mostly, she paused, her expression suddenly colder. It's about the fact that you were ready to embarrass me publicly. You thought I would be too weak to recover. Adrian swallowed hard, guilt flooding his face. Nora, I swear, I was never going to leave you like that. She tilted her head. Then why did your girlfriend believe you were? He had no answer. Because the truth was simple. Serena had believed him. Because Adrian had told her that plan. Nora walked past him toward the stairs. We'll talk later, she said. Right now, I have an appointment. Appointment for what? He asked, voice trembling. Nora turned back slightly, just enough for him to see the shift in her eyes. For my future. And she left him standing there, powerless. Because she was finally taking her life back. Sophia sat silently in the living room, her fingers gripping the edge of the sofa as though it were the only thing keeping her anchored. The clock on the wall ticked louder than usual, each second stretching longer than the last. The house, once filled with laughter, conversations, and arguments that felt like storms, was now painfully quiet. Too quiet. Aiden stood across from her, leaning against the wall, arms folded, his gaze fixed somewhere on the floor. Leo sat on the recliner nearby, watching them cautiously, aware that the smallest wrong word could ignite another spark. No one spoke for several long minutes. Finally, Leo cleared his throat softly. Sophia, please, just tell us what happened. Sophia swallowed, her eyes burning. Where do I start? She whispered. Aiden shifted. Start with the truth. Whatever it is, say it. Those words cut into her. Truth, something she had been avoiding for months. She took a slow breath, the air feeling heavy in her lungs. You both deserve to know, she said, her voice trembling. The reason I kept disappearing. The reason I avoided you. The reason everything between us became so tense. Aiden's jaw tightened. He had feared this moment, yet he needed it too. I wasn't cheating on you, Sophia said firmly. I never did that. But I did hide something I didn't know how to talk about. Aiden and Leo exchanged brief glances. Sophia continued, 3 years ago. I found out I had a serious medical condition. The doctors told me there was a chance it could get worse. A chance it could affect my memory, my personality, my ability to function like I normally do. Aiden's eyes widened, and Leo leaned forward in disbelief. What? Aiden asked quietly. Why didn't you tell me? Sophia's voice cracked. Because I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want you to feel trapped with someone who might not even remain the same person you fell in love with. Aiden stepped toward her, stunned. Sophia, how could you think that? I saw you getting tired of the distance between us, she whispered. I saw the disappointment in your eyes each time I couldn't explain where I was going. I didn't want to ruin your life. Leo spoke gently, Sophia, keeping it a secret ruined it more. She looked down shamefully. I went to therapy, private appointments, tests, evaluations. I was trying to handle it on my own. But the more I tried, the more disconnected I became. And then you, Aiden, you started looking at me like you didn't know me anymore. Aiden shook his head slowly. Not because I didn't want you. Because I felt you slipping away and didn't know why. Sophia finally looked up. Tears rolled down her face. I thought you'd leave if you knew. I thought the truth would push you toward someone healthier, someone easier. Aiden walked closer, stopping right in front of her. And instead, he said softly, you pushed me away without giving me the chance to fight for you. Sophia broke down, burying her face in her hands as Aiden gently lifted her chin. We're going to face this, he whispered. Together. But Leo watched them with a hint of unease. Because he knew, this truth wasn't the only one waiting to surface. There was something else, something he still hadn't revealed. And it could change everything. Sophia wiped her tears, feeling a strange mixture of relief and fear. One heavy truth was finally out, yet the room didn't feel lighter. If anything, tension thickened. Aiden sat beside her, his hand resting reassuringly on hers, but Leo looked as though his thoughts were 1,000 miles away. Sophia noticed. Leo, what is it? She asked gently. He startled slightly, forcing a smile. Nothing. Just processing everything. But Aiden narrowed his eyes. He had known Leo for years, his expressions were like open books, except now, the pages were glued shut. You've been acting strange all week, Aiden said calmly. If there's something you need to tell us, say it. Leo hesitated. His throat tightened. He stood from the recliner and paced slowly, rubbing his forehead. There is something, he admitted at last. Something I should have told you both months ago. Sophia's breath caught. Another secret. After everything they just uncovered. What is it? She asked, trying to steady her voice. Leo paused, turned toward them, and exhaled deeply. It's about the night you thought Sophia disappeared. Aiden froze. What about it? Leo swallowed hard. She wasn't alone. Sophia's eyes widened. Leo. Not like that, he said quickly, raising his hands. No betrayal. Nothing romantic. I swear. Sophia nodded slowly, encouraging him to continue. That night, Leo continued, I got a call from her. She was scared. She said she felt disoriented and didn't trust herself to drive. She didn't want to go home because she didn't want you, Aiden, to see her like that. Aiden clenched his jaw but stayed silent. I picked her up. Took her to the emergency clinic. She was panicking, shaking, barely breathing. Leo paused, eyes softening. I stayed with her until the morning. Sophia lowered her gaze, ashamed. I made him promise not to tell you. I didn't want you to worry. Aiden's voice dropped to a whisper. You didn't trust me to worry about my own wife. Sophia flinched. I thought if I showed weakness, you'd lose faith in me. Leo stepped in gently. Aiden, she wasn't thinking clearly. She was afraid. And honestly, I should have told you anyway. You deserved to know. Aiden stood up, anger and hurt mixing behind his eyes. You should have. You're my best friend, Leo. I trusted you. Leo looked down. I know. And I'm sorry. Sophia's voice cracked. Aiden, please, don't blame him for helping me. You put him in a position where he had to lie, Aiden replied coldly. That's not fair to either of us. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Sophia reached out, touching Aiden's arm gently. I'm sorry. I was trying to protect you. Aiden pulled his arm back, not harshly, but enough to make her heart sink. I didn't need protection. I needed honesty. Leo watched the exchange with guilt pressing down on his chest. He wasn't done. There was still one more truth, one he had been hiding for much longer. He looked up, voice barely steady. And, there's something else. Both Sophia and Aiden turned toward him sharply. Leo inhaled shakily. This next part is the hardest to say. Aiden stared at Leo, frustration simmering beneath the surface. Sophia held her breath, bracing herself. The way Leo's voice trembled told them this wasn't just a small detail, this was something that lived in the shadows for far too long. Leo sat back down, his hands clasped together so tightly his knuckles turned white. What I'm about to say. I never wanted it to come out like this. Aiden crossed his arms. Then how should it have come out? Leo swallowed. Gently. Not in the middle of an argument. Not when emotions were already this raw. Sophia nodded. Just tell us. Whatever it is, we can handle it. Leo hesitated again, eyes flickering between them. This isn't about what happened that night. This is older. Deeper. Aiden took a slow, tense breath. Leo. Just say it. Leo's voice cracked. I've been in love with Sophia for years. The room went dead silent. Sophia's eyes widened in shock. Leo, what? Aiden took a step back as if he'd been struck. Leo pushed on, needing to finish before he lost courage. Not in a way that ever made me want to act on it. Not in a way that would disrespect your marriage. But, it was there. It didn't go away. I thought distance would fix it. I thought time would fix it. It didn't. Sophia sat frozen, unable to form words. Aiden's jaw clenched so tightly the muscle twitched. So you've been staying close to us all these years, while feeling that way. Leo shook his head desperately. No. I stayed because you two are my family. Because you both matter to me more than anything. It was my problem, not yours. Aiden's voice was low and dangerous. Did she know? Sophia gasped. Aiden. Of course not. I had no idea. Leo nodded quickly. She really didn't. I hid it. I buried it. Aiden stared at him, betrayal cutting deeper than before. You should have told me. Leo closed his eyes. I didn't want to lose you. Either of you. And if I said it out loud, that was a risk. Sophia finally found her voice, gentle and shaken. Leo. I appreciate your honesty. But I don't. I know, Leo cut in softly. You love Aiden. You always have. That's why I stayed silent. Aiden laughed bitterly. Silent. You think this is silence? You were there through every fight, every hard moment, loving her from the background. Leo's eyes glistened. Yes. And hating myself for it. Aiden stepped closer, pain more visible than anger now. You helped me pick out our anniversary gift last year. You gave a toast at our wedding. And all this time, this was inside you. Leo nodded miserably. I didn't want to hurt you. Either of you. Sophia's voice broke. Leo. I'm so sorry you carried that alone. Aiden turned toward her sharply. Why are you apologizing to him? Because pain is pain, she whispered. Even if it's messy. Aiden looked between them, his wife, his best friend, and something inside him cracked. This changes everything, he said quietly. Leo lowered his head. I know. And I'm ready to accept whatever comes next. Aiden stared at him long and hard, then uttered the words that made Leo's stomach drop. Then we're not done talking. Because I haven't told my part yet. Aiden's words hung in the air like a threat and a plea at the same time. Sophia and Leo both looked at him, confused and concerned. Aiden rubbed his face, letting out a long, exhausted breath as he sank into the couch. I didn't want it to come out like this, he said quietly. But since everything else is on the table, it's my turn. Sophia shifted closer, heart pounding. Aiden, what did you do? He shook his head. It's not something I did. It's something I've been feeling. For a long time. Leo's brows furrowed. What do you mean? Aiden looked at Leo with an expression neither of them had ever seen, part vulnerability, part shame, part fear. You think you're the only one who's been carrying something heavy. Aiden muttered. You think you're the only one who wasn't honest. Sophia's voice trembled. Aiden, please just say it. He finally spoke. I've been afraid of losing both of you. Sophia blinked. Losing us? Why would you lose us? Aiden looked at her, eyes softening. Because for the last year, I've felt you slipping away. Not because of another man. Not because of betrayal. But because you've been drowning quietly, and I didn't know how to reach you. Sophia's breath hitched. Aiden. And Leo, Aiden added, turning to him, I knew something was off with you too. You didn't look at her the way a friend looks at a friend. I saw it. I pretended I didn't. Because admitting it meant admitting that I couldn't give her the comfort you could. Leo's face drained of color. Aiden. I swear I never tried. I know, Aiden interrupted. I know you didn't. That's what makes this harder. Sophia wiped her eyes. Aiden, what are you saying? He exhaled shakily. I'm saying. I felt like I was failing you. Both of you. As a husband. As a friend. Leo shook his head firmly. You didn't fail anyone. I did, Aiden insisted. When Sophia needed help that night, she didn't call me. She called you. And instead of being angry at her, I was angry at myself. Because deep down, I wondered if part of her trusted you more. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Aiden, that is not true. I was scared and confused. I know, he said gently. But that fear I've carried, it took root. And I kept pretending everything was fine. Leo stepped forward. Aiden, none of this means you're not enough. You've always been the strongest of us. Aiden gave a small, sad laugh. No. I just learned to hide it better. Silence settled again, heavy, but different this time. Softer. More honest. Sophia reached out and took his hand. He didn't pull away. You're not losing us, she whispered. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not after everything we've survived. Leo nodded. We're still here. All three of us. Broken, yes. Flawed, definitely. But here. Aiden looked between them, his wife, his best friend, and something inside him finally loosened. For the first time, he said quietly, I feel like we're finally telling the truth. Sophia leaned her head on his shoulder. Leo sat across from them, relieved, tears in his eyes. No shouting. No accusations. Just three people, finally unburdened. And for the first time in a long time. The room felt light.